Hey, this is manic.mercurian. I just woke up 20 minutes ago, so please be patient with me as I'm a little trying to figure out how to speak. But yeah, basically the whole premise of this video, it is what it sounds like. I'm just going to be ranking the tarot cards, specifically the major arcana cards, and this is 100% subjective. I'm just ranking them according to how much I like them or not, and that is either based on I took some notes, just to kind of, that way it wouldn't take too long for me to figure out what the heck I wanted to put each card. And what I realized is that, okay, so basically what it's based on, it's either based on whether I'd want to get that card in a reading. So generally good cards I'm going to rank higher, generally speaking, because I want good cards. I've had a rough life. I've had a rough adult life in particular, and I'm tired. You know what I mean? I've learned a lot. I love learning, but at the same time, I just want to chill. I want things to be easy. I understand that we only learn and grow when things are hard, generally speaking, but I could use a break. So I love it when I get some good, easy, fun, harmonious tarot cards. The other main criteria that I noticed was, it's just some cards have themes that I personally relate to more than others. Some cards are really awesome cards. They're really positive, but I just don't relate to them for whatever reason. This is going to be fun. Let's start with the Fool. And we're starting off very strong. This is my favorite card. This is actually a card that's very dear to me. It's very close to my heart. This was the first tarot card that I connected with. I started out being very skeptical of tarot, even when, I started out being skeptical of astrology. But once I bought into that, I believed that for years and got really fascinated with astrology. But even then, I was one of those people that's like, okay, well, astrology makes sense, but tarot is just crazy. Tarot's not logical. How can you pick up a random card and have it mean anything? But I did have a friend. I wonder if I could say his full name. I don't think he watches these. Maybe I'll edit that out. Excuse me, but is that okay? I don't know. Maybe I'll look up. I'm not really sure. I've never dropped someone's whole name before. Anyway, but he was into tarot, and we were playing around with the cards, I guess. But I saw the Fool, and it just clicked with me. So that was the first one that I got it. I understood it. I related to it. It also represents a stage of consciousness that I'm personally kind of infatuated with. I do love learning, and I also strive for not overthinking things, I guess, at the same time. And I think the Fool is so open. I crave its openness. I think being at a state of mind reminiscent of the Fool, that's the key state of mind to be in order to be open to new experiences and to learning, and that's exactly what I want. So I don't know, I've always loved the Fool card. It's still my favorite card to get in a reading. Okay, and then let's go to the Magician. So this one I'm ranking much lower. I'm gonna have to adjust. These are getting bigger. Let's make this smaller, I guess. Okay. Bear with me. I don't know. I'm kind of reinventing myself lately, and I'm reinventing this channel as well. It's actually very exciting, but I'm going to be taking some baby steps as I figure this out, so bear with me. I really feel like I'm being born again with this whole Mercury retrograde and Aries thing. A quick fun fact, the last Mercury retrograde, fall/winter, it stationed direct right on my north node, and then this Mercury retrograde is stationing direct right on the transiting north node. Isn't that wild? So both have been very intense for me. Anyway, the Magician. So the Magician is one of those cards that it's very positive. It's very powerful. I get that. I feel like I understand the Magician. I just don't personally relate to it. The Fool was the 0 card. Magician's the 1 card. Maybe it's because it's hard for me to relate to actually beginnings. The 0 card to me is so fascinating. The Fool, which is this transition from end to beginning, or kind of like an almost in between point, like that is so fascinating to me. But once we get into these like very beginning, like kind of Aries like stages of consciousness, I just don't relate a whole lot to those. I have no planets in Aries. I have very few fire planets. I don't even have any planets in Taurus. I just don't. I don't know. I don't even have any Pisces planets for that matter. So I don't know. I just don't relate to it. Fair enough, right? Next is the High Priestess. So I think this is a badass card. I love the High Priestess. Not only is this like a favorable card. Sorry, you can see the ads now. We'll make those go away. Not only is the High Priestess very favorable, but I mean the High Priestess does have a lot to do with what I'm all about. The number 2 in numerology is very strong for me. I forget. I know my first name is 9. I actually don't know what manic is. I'm sure I've looked it up before. Manic. I will look that up. I'm sure I have before. I don't remember right now. But anyway, number 2 is a big deal for me. You know, it's all about intuition. It is more feminine or receptive in nature. 2 is stronger. You know, number 11 is also kind of 2. And 11 is another one of my numbers as well. So yeah, I really relate to, I don't know, High Priestess. Yeah. Okay. And then next is the Empress. So the Empress is similar to the High Priestess, but I don't know. I'm going to give it away. So the next few cards I feel pretty similar about. So let's just kind of go. I don't want this to be too long because I know I can talk too much sometimes. So the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant or Hierophant. I like these cards. Like this B tier. They're definitely not bad cards. I mean, you know, it's still a green tier. I like these. I just don't love them. Like, I'm gonna keep the S tier just for the Fool. There's definitely gonna be some A cards that I'm also kind of in love with, but not as much as the Fool. And then B cards are just cards that I like a lot, but I'm not in love with them. Like Empress, Emperor, Hierophant, like I relate to these, I get them, I understand them. You know, Empress and Emperor are very much like feminine and masculine. I get all that. I'm gonna do my best not to like explain what each card means because you're probably not here for that, unless you are. I don't know. Hierophant, yeah, I don't know. I feel like these are all kind of just standard cards. Like they're all very similar in nature. In a way, they're all, even the High Priestess is similar, but I just relate to her more, I guess. Relate to that card more. I don't know. Yeah. Next is Lovers. So, you know, it's weird when I was doing my notes, and I will adjust this again. You're going to have to see the ad. I'm sorry. I did try to get rid of it. I don't usually get ads on my browser. I'm so sorry. But other than the ads, I love this platform, though. It's really great for this tier list. Hopefully the heat in the background is not too loud. I just moved to Nevada, so we have very like warm days with cold nights. Okay, the Lovers. Yeah, this is another card I just don't. You know, it's weird because Lovers is kind of like Gemini, is it not? You know, duality. I don't know. Maybe it's just too simple for me. I just don't personally find it as an interesting card. I feel like I probably should. A lot of these cards that I don't like, it's probably just because I'm not acquainted enough with them. You know what I mean? Or I haven't had enough like personal, like powerful experiences with them. But I don't know. The Lovers. I also think it's weird how there's like so much quote unquote like phallic symbology in these cards. Like in the Lovers, the mountain is supposed to be, I guess. I don't know. I just don't. I kind of just don't care in a way. God, that makes me sound like a terrible. I'm gonna be learning tarot more though. Like I'm not the best with tarot. So it is my intention to be. I'm actually putting astrology on the back burner while I dive into tarot over the next, I don't know how long, next several days, next several weeks, next several years. We'll see how far it goes. Anyway, but Chariot. Let's do the Chariot now. I rank Chariot as C, which makes sense. The Chariot does get me excited. Like I love getting the Chariot in a read it. You know, going full speed ahead, That's at least how I read that card. There's always so much speed with that. But other than that, though, I just don't relate to it. In a way, it's very similar to the Magician. Both are very powerful cards, really excellent to get in a reading. I just don't personally relate to them. I don't find them interesting as cards. The Hermit. No. Strength is next. Strength I actually really like. I didn't realize how much I liked Strength until I, analyzed the notes for this video. I actually do really like Strength a lot. I liked how there's kind of a combination of feminine and masculine in this card. I think we can clearly, I believe this is a woman in this card, and I believe that the meaning is kind of like inner strength, which I find really cool. So more traditionally kind of like feminine archetypes. But then there's also a lion, which is a symbol of masculinity. Especially we can see the lion's mane. It's a male lion. And there's a little phallic mountain in the back, which I'm not in love with that. But again, I am kind of in love with the masculine and the feminine. I find that compelling. I like her little infinity halo. I don't know. And this is just a very positive, very warm card. I guess maybe it's the right combination of, it's like deep enough to be interesting, but also simple enough to be like fun and easy to read. So I feel like this is just totally sacrilegious. Is this blasphemy? I don't know. But yeah, Strength, I actually really, I didn't see it as one of my favorite cards before, but once I thought about it, I realized it really is. Next is the Hermit. This is another card that I like. I like the Hermit. I'm just not in love with it. The Hermit is a little more difficult in nature. I definitely do relate a lot, of course. I'm sure that's not surprising to you. The Hermit, I don't know. Maybe the symbology is just too simple. I was thinking about the other day. This actually has kind of nothing to do with this, but this alien that I saw in the woods several years ago, in a way did resemble the Hermit. It had a cloak, and it was holding like a light. Kind of weird. I don't know if that means anything. You tell me. I don't know. Sometimes when I kind of go on tangents or I complain about things, people respond with like really good, helpful information. So maybe that's a benefit of having so many Gemini placements. But yeah, otherwise Hermit, I don't know. It's a good card. It's not a great card, in my personal opinion. Next is Wheel of Fortune. This is a card that used to be one of my favorite cards. How did I rank it? I ranked it as B again. As you can see, this is going to be kind of a bell curve. There's going to be a lot of B. I like a lot of cards. I don't love or hate. I do hate some cards, apparently. Wheel of Fortune used to be one of my favorite cards. It's so exciting. I think when I was younger, I really enjoyed this phase of consciousness, the part where it really reminds me of like eclipses or nodal energy in general in astrology, how everything is just turned upside down and everything's unpredictable. It's so exciting. There's so much newness. I used to love that. I could not get enough of that. Now I'm tired. I've had enough of that. I just want to chill. I want to be stable. I want to relax. And as far as I'm aware, I don't think I'm going to be stable for a while, but at least I think things are going to be much more positive. But also what I was noticing going through these cards is that like the imagery following the Wheel of Fortune, I think it's much more negative. Like there's a lot of really difficult cards for a long time after the Wheel of Fortune. It's kind of like everything goes to shit during the Wheel of Fortune, and then it just stays rough for a while. At least, correct me if I'm wrong though. I'm definitely open. Like I said, I'm kind of a newbie to tarot, so if you do have a different perspective, then let me know. I'm sure like all of these different stages in consciousness happen for a reason and are necessary, but I don't know. It just, like I said, I want good times, and it seems like the Wheel of Fortune leads to a lot of rough cards. Justice. Justice is like the least rough of there's a lot of rough following cards after Justice, but Justice is not like particularly fun either. I ranked it as C. It's at least, I feel like it's simple yet complicated. Justice. I don't know. I don't really relate to it. I kind of view justice as being like Libra. I don't know if that's like the traditional connection between the tarot and the signs. And then later on we'll do judgment. Judgment and justice seem very similar to me, and justice seems like Libra and judgment seems like Aquarius. I mean, that being said, I should gravitate toward those, right? I'm so airy, but I don't know, I just don't connect with it. Justice. Honestly, I think, okay, in a weird way, justice is kind of like Libra, because I think when I was first learning about it, it seemed simple enough that I kind of glossed over it. Only later did I realize how complex it actually was. Does that make sense? Like, only when I was writing my book did I realize how complex Libra was. And then that's when I did a deep dive on Libra and dove into the complexities. So maybe I'll do the same with justice. Justice. I'm not really sure, because I haven't done that part yet. I've just kind of glazed over it. But maybe it is a lot more complex than I understand. I bet you, now I'm actually kind of curious about it. I'm going to make a side note there. Next is the Hanged Man. Tea break. Okay. Hanged Man. I don't know. Maybe. Well, it seems like a very dark card. Literally seems like it connects to side or the other thing, which I feel like we're not allowed to say on YouTube. Am I even allowed to say the H word? God, maybe I'll have to edit that out too. Okay, I'm gonna make a list of things I have to edit out. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seems very dark in nature. I do have a friend that has a different perspective on it, which I do find compelling. He said that it's more just about turning upside down in order to look at something a new way, like doing a 180, looking at things the other way. I like that. I get that. I still can't get over this. Even if we put aside like the literal like kind of dying aspects of this card, I feel like it still has to do with sort of powerlessness and surrender, which I don't know. I guess I'm more in love with the idea of like self advocacy and I very much admire Aries. I guess I want to be more like Aries. I don't want to. I guess I come from a place of like, I know how to surrender. I grew up doing that, and I just like, that's kind of how I dealt with my trauma. And I've always admired people that do the opposite. They get involved. They're engaged. They're active. They're leaders. Maybe they fly off the handle sometimes, but they fix things. They advocate for themselves. They help other people. That's what I've always really admired. So maybe it's just very opposite from this card, I guess. Next is Death. So Death is a negative card, not as negative as it sounds. I ranked it B. I like Death. Yeah, I think B is appropriate. I like the Death card. Right after I just talked about how I don't like how the Hanged Man is triggering for me. That's funny, but no, because, death isn't really about death. It's about change, right? I think anyone that's kind of into tarot knows that, I hope. Again, I'm new to it all, but death is really just about change. And yeah, I mean, I'm not in love with change, but it is just a fact of life. And so, I don't know, I view it as neutral in a reading, because change is neutral. Change can be easy, change can be hard, change can be good or bad. Ultimately, it's just neutral. It just depends on your perspective and whether you're open to it or not. And really, change is just so vague. I mean, change could be anything, right? Anything different than the norm. I really don't. I guess it is a challenging card because change is challenging, but again, it's just a fact of life. Next is Temperance. Temperance I ranked here. I don't know. It's straightforward. It's somewhat easy to read. I don't know. Maybe I'm bored by Temperance. Balance, which is so silly because I just said like that's what I want. I want balance. I want stability. I want temperance. I kind of don't understand though. Maybe I just need to learn more because temperance comes at such a unbalanced part of the the arcana. Maybe that's the whole point. I don't know. But it literally comes right between the two like darkest cards. The two cards that look the darkest, which are Death and the Tower. So literally, like, it comes after the Death card and then before the Tower card, which has people dying in it. So how can you possibly find temperance there? But again, maybe that's the whole point. I don't know. I think I really need to learn about these cards more. Maybe especially the C tier for some reason. I feel like there's something I'm missing with those. Let's do the Devil now. The Devil is actually interesting. So I did rank it. Where did I rank it? D. Ooh, you know, now that I've been talking, I almost want to rank it. I'm going to rank it higher, actually. And I'm going to put Temperance lower. Yeah. Because, well, excuse me, I'll give you the pros and the cons of what I like and dislike about the Devil. I'll start with the negatives first. So, I don't like that the Devil is... I think it's one of the most negative cards in the deck. I almost keep saying Zodiac because I'm so used to talking about astrology. But you know, it does have to do with like vices, addictions, or like dysfunctional parts of relationships, codependency. At least that's how I've read it. So of course, yeah, part of me is like, oh, I don't want that, so I don't like the card. On the other hand, though, this was actually one of the first cards that I connected with, and I know that's a little strange, but after the Fool, this may have been... It was definitely the second or third card that I felt like I understood really well because... okay, I'll say a little bit about myself. At the time, I was asking about my relationship, and this card... My relationship at the time, not anymore. But this card just kept coming up over and over and over again. And even at the time, I recognized how accurate it was. So yeah, this was one of the first cards that I really understood very well. So I guess I just have that connection to it. I was going to say that I ranked it this, you know, before I ranked it the same as the Lovers card because they are very similar cards. But I think I actually like the Devil better than the Lovers, and I'm not sure why. Maybe you can tell me why. I have no idea. Let's talk about the Tower. The Tower I ranked last because I don't want this, you know, like I don't want... It just seems like a very negative card, like a very dark card. Calamity, or even if you just say, oh, it's just sudden, really intense change. Okay, well that, I would say that's negative too. I know earlier I said negative is neutral. Excuse me, change is neutral is what I meant to say. But too much change will kill you, right? I always think of like a goldfish or any kind of like pet fish. If the water changes, if the salinity changes, if the temperature changes too much too fast, it's going to kill the fish, right? So I think the same is true for anyone, for me or for you. Like even if it's all good change, if it's really sudden, it's going to freak you out, right? That's actually what I'm going through right now. Lots of good change, but it's freaking me the F out. But it's good change. It's all good, you know? That's what's crazy about it. So anyway, so the Tower, I don't know. How do you like the Tower if you're listening to this? If you like any of the cards that I said I don't like, I'd be honestly really fascinated to hear your opinion because I'm definitely open to other perspectives. Okay, I think it's generally going to get a little more positive now. I did notice that this starts out generally favorable and then it like goes down and then it goes kind of up at the end, but it kind of fluctuates throughout. So next is the Star, which is always a good card to get in a reading, right? This is like a feel-good card. I ranked it as C. I wonder if that's still accurate. Sure. Yeah, I get that. I mean, looking at the card, I just don't really... I don't know. I feel nothing. Like, I know that the Star is such... It's so hopeful. I feel like I understand it. I feel like I get it. It's like, you know, a new hope. Like, you wish upon a star, right? And there's definitely a lot of water imagery. So I think it's this combination of like water and air, maybe like hoping, dreaming, envisioning. That is so cool. That's so powerful. I just don't relate to the card. I don't know. Let's talk about the Moon. The Moon, So this used to be one of my favorite cards because it was one that I felt like I understood right away. But now I think over time my view on the moon has become more negative. Like now my understanding of it is that it has to do with like being crazy, kind of like losing touch with reality. And so looking at it that way, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't want that at all. I mean, I do like this whole dreaminess of, I feel very connected to both the moon and the sun. But I don't know. I would like it better if it didn't have to do with being crazy. But that's what my understanding of it is. I don't know. I really want to rank the moon higher, but I don't know. Let's rank the sun. So the sun, I love. I love this card. I'm going to put it as an A. Not only do I love getting it in any reading, it's one of the most favorable positive cards in the deck. But yeah, I also just relate to it as well. I love it clearly looks to me like celebration and just fun and playing around. I mean, that's exactly what I want. I want to have fun. I want to play. Who doesn't, right? What else? And I feel very connected. Like I said, I feel I've actually debated, like, do I feel more connected to the sun or to the moon? And I really feel connected to both. So yeah, it's just you really can't go wrong with this card. I feel like almost everything in life has a positive and a negative side to it. But with this card, I feel like there just are no negatives. I love like anything in life that I can find that has no negatives or even no positives. Like I love that simplicity because it's so rare. So next is Judgment. So Judgment's gonna be way down on I ranked it last. Yeah, I didn't even realize I disliked these cards until I did this ranking. But Judgment, like I said earlier, I don't know, I just don't relate to it. I've always had trouble with this card, honestly. I feel like I understand it, and yet I feel like I'm missing something as well. I get the whole, it's kind of like Armageddon, like, that's what I picture anyway. Like we are, the test, so to speak, is over, and then now we're just kind of like, it seems very karmic. We're kind of just given whatever we deserve, I guess, with this card. I don't know. I just don't relate to that whole. Maybe, I don't know, even Aquarius. I do have Saturn and Aquarius. I don't have a whole lot of other planets around there. But I don't know. I just don't. Maybe it's not logical. It's not rational why I don't like this card. I just kind of don't. And then lastly is the World. And this is one of my favorite cards as well. I love the World. My understanding of the World, I know that it is much more complex than I'm going to give it credit for in this video, but one perspective on it, that is my understanding, is that the World represents, it's not necessarily it is the end of a cycle, but it's more like the between two cycles. And that's a concept that I know that concept kind of runs through like many ancient, like very ancient traditions, like pre-antediluvian, like or is that the right word, or antediluvian, like the Vedics had that concept of, in between two large eras, there's always this little in between phase where you're kind of just, you're not quite in either one. And that concept just seems so interesting to me. Like you're almost like it's almost like you're in a vacuum. I actually think that we're in one of those periods now between, you could say, the age of Pisces and age of Aquarius. I think age of Pisces technically ended in 2012 with the whole, Mayan calendar, like December 21st, 2012. And then I believe the date that the new age starts is a little more fuzzy, but it's coming up soon. It's either 2026, 2027, maybe 2028. So anyway, we're in one of these weird, like, in-between phases now of some much longer, much larger eras. So yeah, I guess I just relate to the World. I find it fascinating, and it's among my top 5 favorite cards. So anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this. This was just for fun. Maybe you learned something from this, and maybe I can learn something from this from you guys. I would love to hear your opinions, your knowledge. Also, if you do have any like favorite tarot YouTube channels that you follow that are educational in nature, or even just for fun, I guess. But yeah, I'm rebranding. I want to learn about tarot. I want to do tarot. I know there's a huge demand for it on YouTube. So anyway, so this was fun. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.